Hello and welcome to another episode of Qanun Aur Adalat, your legal lens into the justice system of Pakistan and beyond. I'm your host Imelda, and today we have with us a very special guest, Advocate Moin Ahmed, who recently made history in the Supreme Court of Pakistan. And what makes this truly remarkable? He did it without even holding a Supreme Court license. Not only did he win, but the judgment also marked a turning point in judicial innovation with the use of artificial intelligence, including ChatGPT, in the drafting of a reported verdict. Moin Ahmed, welcome and congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here, and I am grateful for the opportunity to share what has been one of the most defining moments of my legal career.
Let's start from the beginning, Moin. Could you please give our listeners a detailed overview of the case itself?
Certainly. The case involved a 5-marla residential property located in Rajgarh, Lahore. My client Ishfaq Ahmed had purchased this property through a registered sale deed back in 1999. In 2016, he allowed his real brother, respondent, to reside there under an oral tenancy agreement at a monthly rent of Rs 35,000. Unfortunately, from July 2016 onward, the tenant defaulted on the rent payments. Efforts at reconciliation failed, so we instituted eviction proceedings in July 2018 before the rent controller. Despite our evidence remaining uncontroverted, the eviction petition was dismissed. We appealed successfully, but the High Court set aside the appellate decision. That's when we decided to approach the Supreme Court through a civil petition for leave to appeal, and that's where the history began.
What were the core facts? How did it originate? And what legal trajectory led it all the way to the Supreme Court? That's quite the journey. Now, as a High Court advocate without a Supreme Court license, you needed special permission to argue this case.
You're right. Under normal circumstances, one needs to be enrolled as an advocate of the Supreme Court to appear and argue. However, I filed an application clearly stating that I had handled this case from day one, from trial to appellate stages, and that I was fully acquainted with the facts and legal complexities. The bench, comprising Mr. Justice Syed Mansoor Ali Shah and Mr. Justice Aqil Ahmad Abbasi, was extremely gracious.
What was that process like, and how did the bench respond to your application?
They acknowledged my prior involvement and, in the interest of justice, allowed me to argue. It was a rare honor, and their confidence in me meant a great deal.
This being your first ever argument before the Supreme Court, how did you prepare yourself mentally, emotionally, and legally for what must have been a high-pressure moment?
To be honest, the weight of it was immense. It's not just the apex court, it's the conscience of the Constitution. But I relied on what I always rely on: preparation. I reviewed my every document, every line of testimony, every judgment cited in lower courts. I also studied the judicial philosophy of the honorable judges on the bench, which helped tailor my arguments. Emotionally, I reminded myself that this was not about ego. It was about justice for my client. That grounding gave me strength.
Tell us more about the core argument that won the case.
Our main argument was that the petitioner was the lawful owner and the oral tenancy was valid and in force. The High Court had misinterpreted the testimony of AW1, the petitioner's mother, who had merely collected rent as an agent. The lower courts had erroneously construed her as the landlady. But we demonstrated that she never claimed ownership, neither in her affidavit nor in her oral statement. The respondent's right to cross-examination was struck off, so our evidence stood unchallenged. We argued that under these facts, the essential of landlord-tenant relationship and persistent default were fully established.
What was your primary contention before the bench? And what was the bench's observation in this regard?
The bench found that the evidence clearly confirmed two things. One, that the petitioner was the lawful owner of the property, and two, that his mother had acted only as an agent. The judgment made it clear that procedural representation, such as collecting rent, does not affect substantive ownership. Moreover, the court lamented the fact that despite unchallenged evidence, the rent controller and High Court misread the case, thereby prolonging litigation unnecessarily.
Which brings me to the next point, the delay. The court had strong words about how rent matters, which are supposed to be summary, are languishing for years. What's your take on that?
The judgment rightly identified a systematic problem. The eviction petition began in 2018 and concluded in 2025. That's 7 years of delay for something meant to be a summary in nature. The court called out this erosion of constitutional protections, specifically the right to property and speedy justice. I personally believe it's a clarion call for reforming rent laws, training rent controllers, and leveraging digital tools for faster adjudication.
Let's now discuss the most groundbreaking aspect of this judgment: the formal use and acknowledgement of artificial intelligence, specifically ChatGPT. How did that come about?
After the hearing, the Honorable Bench discussed the emerging role of AI in judicial systems across the world. They told me they were considering using AI tools like ChatGPT in reviewing materials for the judgment and asked for my consent. I welcomed it wholeheartedly. I saw it as a moment of evolution where the legal tradition meets innovation. This case wasn't just about one eviction, it was about shaping the future of law in Pakistan.
And to be clear, this is Pakistan's first officially reported judgment where the use of ChatGPT was expressly acknowledged.
Yes, it is. That makes it historic. The court not only used AI but also reflected extensively on its potential benefits and limitations. The judgment cited global examples from Colombia to Washington, D.C., and concluded that while AI must remain assistive, its integration can vastly improve efficiency and access to justice.
What role do you see for AI in Pakistan's legal ecosystem going forward?
The potential is enormous. AI can reduce research time, assist in drafting, identify relevant precedents, and even help in case categorization. It won't and shouldn't replace judicial discretion, but it can surely empower it. The real opportunity lies in district courts, where the volume is overwhelming. AI can act as a catalyst for speed, consistency, and even transparency.
What struck you most about the court's reflection on AI?
I was moved by how balanced the court was. Justice Mansoor Ali Shah emphasized that AI must never replace human conscience, empathy, and interpretive wisdom. He wrote beautifully that judgment is not just logic, it's listening, moral courage, and the capacity to evolve. That, to me, was a profound reminder that even in the age of machines, humanity must lead.
The judgment also refers to global tools like Westlaw AI, Judge GPT, and Co-Counsel. How important is it for Pakistani lawyers and judges to be trained in these technologies?
It's critically important. Legal technology is evolving fast. If we don't adapt, we risk falling behind in efficiency and justice delivery. Training programs must now include AI literacy, understanding what tools exist, how to use them responsibly, and what ethical boundaries must not be crossed. I see this as an essential part of modern legal education.
Do you think AI can assist not only judges but also practicing lawyers in Pakistan?
Definitely. Lawyers can use AI for legal research, contract analysis, identifying precedents, and even predictive analytics for case outcomes. It won't replace a lawyer's mind, but it can drastically reduce time spent on routine tasks, allowing us to focus on strategic thinking and client counseling.
Let's return to your own journey for a moment. Winning your very first case in the Supreme Court. What has the response been like from your colleagues, clients, and legal fraternity? You're also known for your legal awareness YouTube channel, Qanun Aur Adalat. How has this platform grown since your Supreme Court victory?
The response has been humbling. I have received congratulatory messages from lawyers, judges, students, and even overseas Pakistanis. Many called it inspirational. It gives me strength to continue on this path and reminds me that dedication, preparation, and sincerity still matter in this profession. The growth has been exponential. People are curious about legal rights, technology in law, and practical advice, especially overseas Pakistanis dealing with the property and family issues back home. This judgment gave the channel a visibility boost, but most importantly, it reaffirmed why we need digital legal literacy platforms.
Will we see you discussing legal tech and AI in upcoming episodes of your channel?
Without a doubt, we're preparing content on the judgment itself, explaining what it means in simple Urdu and how AI is changing the legal world. We'll also do tutorials on tools like ChatGPT and how young lawyers can responsibly integrate them into their work.
Now that you've argued and won in the Supreme Court, are you planning to formally apply for your license?
Yes, inshallah. That's the next goal. This case was a blessing and a signal that I'm ready. I look forward to regular appearances before the Apex Court and contributing to national legal development.
What message would you like to send to young lawyers and law students in Pakistan who dream of making their mark?
I would tell them, believe in your preparation, study hard, stay honest, and don't let procedural limitations dim your commitment to justice. If your heart is in the right place, even the highest courts will hear you.
In closing, what did this judgment personally mean to you?
It means everything. It validated years of work, it brought recognition, but more than anything, it reminded me that the law is alive. It can evolve, it can adapt, and sometimes it needs a little courage to push it forward.
Where do you see Pakistan's judiciary in the next decade if these reforms continue?
I see a judiciary that's tech enabled, transparent, and much faster in delivery. AI will assist, e courts will expand, and digitization will reduce inefficiencies. But we must anchor all this in our constitutional values: due process, dignity, and access to justice.
And finally, if you had one sentence to describe this case and your experience, what would it be?
It was a journey of faith in law, in preparation, and in the future of justice.
Beautifully said. Advocate Moin Ahmed, thank you for joining us. You've not only made history, you've opened a doorway for so many. We look forward to hearing more from you, both in court and on your channel. To our listeners, thank you for staying with us through this powerful story. Don't forget to subscribe to Kanun Aur Adalat and follow Advocate Moin Ahmed on Kanun Aur Adalat for more insights. Until next time, Allah Hafiz.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.